Good morning to this morning's live coaching. There will be people who have said they're coming, but we're living in times when it's very difficult for people. So I'm just going to make a start because it is 10 o'clock. And today we're talking about live streaming. And the question is, just because you can, should you? I have seen live streaming done from absolutely cringeworthy right up to utter brilliance and everything in between. And I suspect, if not know, that those that are doing it brilliantly have a plan. They have a strategy. They understand what they want their live streaming to do. It has to have a purpose. You know, I'm all for shiny objects and trying out new things, but I learned very early on that live streaming needed a lot more than just, I fancy going on Facebook today. Especially in business, because everybody is live streaming into their groups, into their business pages these days. And that's not a bad thing if it works for you and it achieves the purpose that you want it to do. So let's just ask ourselves that question. Well, you should ask yourself that question. Just because you can live stream, should you? Yeah, you see? Not everything needs to be live streamed. For me, I believe that live streaming works really well in groups and challenges. It brings people together because people know when the live stream is going to happen. They know what the live stream is about, especially in a challenge. That, you know, it's going to be the question that's going to be for that day or whatever the challenge is, and people will be forewarned about that. And they like the idea that they can come on and ask those questions and get them answered in real time. And it's also a connecting of people with a common aim. So in a group or in a challenge, you're all there because the subject or whatever's going on in that group and that page is of interest to you. So you're all brought together and you're engaged through a common thing. The problem that happens sometimes if you live stream from your business page is there's a lot of people on your business page that may only be interested in one aspect of what you do. So for instance, for me, on my business page, I have a lot of people that are members on my business page. They don't necessarily engage with everything I do because some of them may only be interested in doing video well. Some of them may be interested in how to become a speaker. And we have been, hello Anne, Anne has joined us this morning. Thank you, Anne. How are you? She's waiting for her audio to kick in. There it goes.
Hello.
Good morning, Anne. I made a start because I wasn't sure, because I know people are getting, already getting a bit, I've done enough this week. So I was literally had just asked the question about live streaming. Just because you can, should you?
Yeah.
And for me, it's looking at why live streaming works and where it works. So the best place that live streaming works is in Facebook groups, or if you're doing a challenge, because everybody there has a common theme. They understand why they're there, they understand what's coming, and 9 times out of 10, if you're doing a challenge, that live stream will go out at the same time every day, whether it's for 5 days or something, it'll ask a specific question. So live streaming in groups and in challenges is a really, really good idea. My problem comes when people try to do live streams from their Facebook business page, because I have a lot of people on my business page, but some of them are only interested in creating videos. Some are only interested in how they sound when they're doing workshops online. Some people only want to know how to become a paid speaker. So I have different aspects of people in my business page. So if they suddenly turn up there and do a live stream, it's harder for them all to know whether they should jump in or not. And actually it creates confusion. So I tend not to do that. The only time I will is if something's happened suddenly, or in this instance where we are at the moment, I have gone in a couple of times and just said, hope you're all okay. And if you need anything, contact me, and some generalized stuff to go out. However, I could just as easily have recorded a video and done that and made it look nicer. So that's the other question you've got to ask. What do you want it to look like when you're live streaming? Within your plan and your visibility is part of your branding. What do you want your branding to look like? So for me, having to elevate slightly because everybody's online at the moment, and to show that I know what I know, and I don't want to, it's not about being more professional, it's just that I have to stand above the crowd in a way, because if I'm going to coach people to step above the crowd, I have to be. So for me, having the right backdrop, having the right lighting, having the right sort of being able to put my logo on it is really important. So for me, live streaming devalues my brand. It weakens my brand. And I think you have to ask yourself that question before you decide to live stream. And some people live stream really, really well, brilliantly, and some are just awful. And I know that the ones who do it really, really well have planned it. They know where it belongs in their marketing strategy. And it sort of fits their brand because they're personality brands. You know, and that's usually the one-man band where you are the brand. you are everything. So when you think about live streaming, the very first thing, number one, is what do you want from it? So, Anne, if you would live stream, if you suddenly said, you know, I'm going to look at live streaming, what would you want that live stream to achieve?
It's a really, really interesting question, Bev. It's not something I've given a lot of thought to up till now.
Not many people do. That's the problem.
And I really don't want to do it if it isn't right for me. I mean, whether it's about, you know, as you say, setting some sort of challenge, or trying to suggesting someone try something out. For example, if they haven't done any short breathing practices before, maybe to say, well, have a go at that and then come back to me and let me see how it went. Or just a thought for the day, you know.
And that works really well in a group because, you know, you can actually say to the group, I'm going to come in at this time, this day, and I'll show you how to do those breathing exercises. But again, you could just as easily pre-record that. Because the other thing about live streaming is people pop in the middle of doing stuff. So if you suddenly pop in, especially around therapy and stuff, and go, right, now we're going to, people aren't, because 9 times out of 10, they're listening with one ear while doing something else. So I often say to people, well, if you want people to stop and do something, don't live stream. Total waste of time. Unless it's part of a challenge where people are going, yeah, every day there's something new we're going to learn. So you set that up to engage better with them in that group, to show them, and then they can go off and do it. Then it works because they've made that time to come and do it. You know, so the random, as I call it, the random live streaming is only good, like if you pop in with a thought of the day because maybe something's going on, like what's happening today, or sometimes I'll pop in and say the strangest thing happened to me and I did this and that, and honestly, and then relate it to business. It's very short and sweet. And sometimes I'll get 3 or 4 people come in and ask questions and I'll answer the questions, but generally you don't get hordes of people coming in. And then it's on the feed and it can be seen later. The problem is you don't know how much later they're going to see it because of the way Facebook moves everything around. So I've had people see my live stream from like 2 months ago and I've forgotten completely what it was I said that day because it was one of those spur of the moment things. And I'm not sure your live streams show up because on Facebook, on your page and groups, you can go and it has the tab for videos. So you can go into all the videos that are in there, but your live streams aren't in there. So it's not even that you can go back and go, can I use that again? You can download them, but again, I ask, why would you do that on Facebook all live, then download it to use somewhere else when actually you can ensure you maintain your brand by doing the video, uploading it with maybe a bit of a lesson on it or whatever it is that video is about, and then you can use that video for other stuff. So is it double work for people? And for me it is, and I love easy life, but you know, live streaming to me, never really caught on for me in my market. And I don't know many speakers who do, to be fair. I don't know, and I'm on a lot of speakers groups and things, and not many of them do live streaming until now.
It's interesting, Bev. I mean, I've listened to your live streams when I've seen it, and sometimes it's on the day and sometimes it isn't.
Yeah.
And they're always really useful. But there are some people who do, the same people do it regularly when they're out and about walking, doing the panning, the video views, and there's no real message.
No, all it is remember me, I'm still here. And,
yeah.
And I've seen those, and I'm a bit nosy. So when people are doing some live streams, if I'm on Facebook, I'll click in just to see how they're doing and what they're doing. And yeah, the people that are outside going, look at all the scenery, and you can't really hear them because the wind's blowing. And I'm sat here in an office going, I don't care if you're on Bournemouth Beach doing whatever. And I'm like you, it's a waste of my time to click in.
Yeah.
And they're what I call personality live streaming to a certain degree, because it's just like, here, I'm still here, look what I'm doing today, isn't that lovely? And you just think, oh, go away. So there are people that do that, and I don't. And I coached some of those people and said, don't do it. Like, you know, you can only drag a horse to water once. But the idea that you use it strategically is, and if you want to be a speaker, and if you know, whether you want to be a big high paid speaker or you just want to be known as a speaker and to gain more clients, however that may be, you have to set yourself above the herd in a way, so people know that you're very clear about your message, you're clear about your speaking, you understand your audience, all of that. Because often you'll get picked up to speak somewhere because someone will have seen something on social media, and that's happened to me a lot. And they go, oh, she talks really well, she understands the message, can you come and do something for our people at the moment? Now what's happening at the moment is that everybody's live streaming. Suddenly they've gone into a panic, and it's like, oh, well, I can do a video and go, I can live stream, I can do this, I can do that. And in the first week it wasn't so bad. It was mostly about, you know, I hope you're okay, these are bad times and everything else. This week, they have reduced slightly, but now we're getting the, let's keep your business going, let's do this, so that it's almost a panic selling going on for people, because they're realizing, you know, that their income stream is dropping. And I suspect as we go along through this, that's going to get harsher and harsher. And some of that, what I call hidden selling stuff, is going to go up. And people are really going to switch off. They're not going to want to know, because just as their income stream is dropping, so is everybody else's, and some at a greater rate than other people. So I say to everybody that I coach, ask yourself that question: just because I can, should I? And for you, Anne, I'm getting the impression that actually it's not something that fits in your strategy or your marketing at the moment. And I would go, absolutely right, it doesn't. It doesn't at this moment. Videos do. And people often say to me, what's the difference between live streaming though and doing a video? And for me, that's like a pop star standing up in a pub and singing without any of his backing stuff, and him in a studio singing with all his backing stuff. And if you've ever, you know who he is, you hear the records, and then they sing something, you go, God, that doesn't sound like anything. That's the difference. It's the difference between being able to polish it or it be raw. And actually, live streaming, unless you're a really, really good engaging speaker and understand how to use your voice, understand how to create pictures with your voice, understand how to take people along on that story, they're not going to stay with you. Not in their heads. They might be typing, oh, hi, oh, nice to see you, and then sending up emojis all the time, but you have no idea actually listening to what you're doing. And I've done it some occasionally, and I've had friends of mine pop up, and I don't even know how they did that now no longer even have a business and do something else. But hi, Bev, I've seen you for a long time. They get into a whole other conversation. And then, you don't like to be rude, so I do it. Oh, hello, nice to see you too. Try to get back on so again, it's about streamlining and simplicity. And And the other thing is, never go and do a live stream with your phone outside, unless your business is something to do with outside. So if you're an environmentalist, for instance, and I've seen somebody do this really well, and they will be out and maybe, you know, there's plastic everywhere, or something's happening on the beach or the trees. That I get that. And they'll suddenly live stream and say, look, I've come across this, and isn't this awful? And this is what we should be doing. So it relates. But equally, going out and doing the look at the pretty countryside, look at the rabbits in the garden and blah, blah, blah. One, it doesn't relate to us at all because we're not there. Two, you haven't got the equipment to do it. And this is what people forget. Because if you're going to record on your phone, there are little tiny mics you can buy that plug into your phone that actually amplifies the voice. And
could you just, a moment, I've just got to open the door for a parcel.
Yeah, no worries, you go. I'm gonna quick pause.
Sorry about that, thank you.
No worries at all. Yeah, what I was saying was, if you record with your phone, and I've done this, if I'm at events and things, I think it's quite nice sometimes to do a bit of a live stream, or sometimes I'll interview people at a live event, like a conference, especially if I put it on. But you buy these little like lapel mics that actually plug into your phone. And it makes the sound a lot better because it reduces the ambient noise around you. They're not very expensive either. I mean, I think I paid £4 or £5 for mine off Amazon. Bless Amazon. But it's knowing that these little things are available to you.
Yeah.
And also you can buy the little tiny, when you have a microphone, you have like this foam bit that goes over the top that stops like the shushing noise. So you use it a lot outside to stop that wind noise in the mic. Well, they have these little tiny ones that go on the little lapel thing. So if you're outside or at an event and there's a lot of noise around you, you can reduce that noise. So there are times and places for live streaming that work really well.
Yeah.
She's very good at it, because if she's at an event or at her event, people will live stream, we're here, we're doing this. And that's interesting for people who can't actually go, because it's more of an experience than an event.
Yeah.
Again, when it comes to live streaming etiquette, I very rarely allow people to live stream my speeches. So if I'm doing a keynote speech, I will say to the organizer, are you live streaming at any time? And they will go yay or nay. And if they are, I will often say, will you not live stream my speech? Because my speech is my money.
Yeah.
And you have to consider that. And what you don't want is that speech then going wide. And again, that's a strategic decision to make, because some speakers will go, well, I don't mind because they're sharing it. You know, and sometimes I'll say, where is the live, you know, is it going to a group specific, or is this going, you know, things like that. And equally, for some people, their speech is very personal to them, and may not be appropriate to some audiences if it's just going out live stream. So live streaming at events, if you're going to do it, ask the organizer first, because I get quite angry. You know, it's like that thing when you go to a concert, they don't video and don't take photos. It's the same principle for me. In a way, if you haven't got permission, you're stealing content.
Yes, absolutely.
So as a speaker, you have to make that decision, and often people don't think about that. Networking is another place. People live stream from networking a lot. Again, if you're doing the workshop, ask first, are you live streaming? And then make that decision around whether you are happy for it to be live streamed, and you will know depending on what you're doing. So sometimes it's a yes and sometimes it's a no. So all of those things are really important to consider when you're live streaming. And I think businesses forget that your live stream actually does show you at your rawest level, in a way. Even if you have dolled yourself up to the eyeballs and you've got your ball gown and your crown on, at that moment in time, you don't have a script, you don't know what's going to happen around you, you know, all sorts of things are totally out of your control. So unless you're comfortable managing that stuff you can't control when it happens, don't do it.
Yeah. Especially, I was thinking about this, especially if you were doing a talk somewhere and it was open up to questions after your talk.
Yeah.
I mean, someone can really throw a curveball at you.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I don't think I would want that
No.
live stream away with if I hadn't had enough time to really think about it.
No, and again, it may be that there are people in the audience. So, say for instance, if you were doing something around bereavement and you were working with a group, you wouldn't want that live streamed. The audience wouldn't necessarily want it live streamed, and that's the other thing people don't do. So, if you're going to live stream, as well as asking the event organizer, I would expect the event organizer to ask the audience if they mind. Because you know, when you often when you live stream, people start, you know, moving around, maybe your table are in it, and you should check. It's only good etiquette to check. And actually, there is a law against filming people, again, you know, without permission.
Yeah.
So we forget that with live streaming. When we're outside, you know, we forget that there are a lot of laws. The law that says you can't film children. So if you're out on a beach going da 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 da, and you're moving around, and children are, you can't do that.
No,
You could
no.
be sued by parents for, and then especially it's on the net, you know, and you can't get it back.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
And that's the other thing to remember if you're live streaming. It's not like you have some control over where it's going. Once it's online, it's there.
Yeah.
It's in social media, especially, it's there. There's nothing you can do. You can't pull it down. You can try your best. Even governments can't get some videos taken down. So remember, when you're live streaming, there is some etiquette, and then there are legal requirements that you have to consider. And as a speaker, within my sort of contract thing, I actually put in there, please let me know if you intend to live stream, because it's done an awful lot. And if they say yes, I'll go, right, where's it going? Have you checked with the audience? Da, 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 just so that I'm covering my back. Then if they do something that is against the law, or they do something, at least I've got my backup for my insurance to go, I asked the questions and I acted in good faith.
Yes.
And sad as it may be, we all have to watch our backs as business people. We really, because in the world we live in, if somebody is at an event and she doesn't want any, this came back to, this all started when I was working with someone from a domestic abuse background, really bad, and she'd had to change her name, she moved, she went online, she wore a wig, all of that. So for her, being seen at an event online, which could potentially turn up in front of anybody where this person could find them, was her biggest fear.
Yes.
And, you know, for me, it's like, well, then we don't live stream at all at this event. Or I say to her, maybe this event, because I need to live stream it. So you give the choice. So live streaming is full of pitfalls. It really is. The other thing people are doing, which I find difficult to understand, is there's a lot of people live streaming at the moment with their kids in the background, or their kids are sitting on their laps and going hello and all the rest of it. And it seems absolutely innocent. But our world isn't innocent.
I know.
And I personally would never let my grandchildren on a video live stream with me. I don't want their faces. I know my daughter does, and there's nothing I do, they're her children. But for me, on a personal level, I won't and I wouldn't. And I think you have to consider that, because, yeah, they're very cute and it's lovely and people love the idea of this. Yeah, we all do. And as it was yesterday, I wasn't recording, so that was fine. But be aware and ask yourselves those questions, that if you are going to live stream, is it appropriate to the people you want to talk to? Is it legal wherever you're going to live stream, especially if it's an event or it's outside? Who's going to be in that video that's created from your live stream? How could being online affect them? And when it comes to children, I think you have to be overprotective of what happens online. And bear in mind that all those people that are out there doing whatever they do are now indoors, plotting ways to do it. And I hate to bring that downer on it, and I hate to say to people, be careful, but be careful. Be so careful what you do. And and you're always going to come across those. I mean, I've come across them when I videoed a live stream. This is just social media and you can't help it to a certain degree. There's people that are airline pilots or doctors or heads of this and just want to know how you are, and oh, that's a pretty picture. And so you've got all that to deal with as an adult. Can you imagine how you have to deal with that as a child?
It's interesting you say that, Bev. I mean, I don't do much on Facebook. I've got a personal Facebook page, but I don't have a business one yet. I do a lot more on LinkedIn,
Yeah,
on LinkedIn posts. And I've had some bizarre connection requests
yeah,
from surgeons in the States.
yeah.
And people you think, well, why the hell would they want to connect with
Quite,
me?
quite, and yeah, and it,
Why sort of start a conversation saying, oh, good morning, Anne, where do you live?
yes,
You know,
yeah,
what's it like? I'm thinking, hang on a minute.
yeah. I blocked them immediately. That, you know,
That's supposed to be a
I
professional
know.
platform.
But the trouble is, with any social media platform, once it becomes popular, you're going to get those people on there. And certainly on LinkedIn, they're looking at, these are business people, they've got money. So the scams are going to go to LinkedIn rather than Facebook anymore. So Facebook, I think, is more dangerous in terms of what could happen, being trolled, being stalked, all of that happens. I think, in my opinion, I don't know for sure, I haven't, happens on Facebook, but on LinkedIn, you get a lot of those scams of business people and money transfers and things like that that you have to be careful of. So if we have to be careful of stuff that we know about when we've actively decided what we're going to put on a social media site, think about how that amplifies if we haven't really thought about it and just live streamed.
Yeah.
I've just gone for it. So you do have to treat, what I've been saying to people actually is, if you think live streaming like online is a real place, it's a town, it's a town where you live. Would you go out to your gate and shout to the world what's going on in your front room or in the back garden and expect anybody to care or be interested, except for the very lonely, the very sad, and the potentially dangerous ones who are interested to know what you've got in the back garden and how they can get through the front door and all of that. Equally, if you have a business, so I don't know, you're a window cleaner, so you go out into your town and you go, I'm going to clean everybody's windows, whether you want it or not. And even if you don't have windows, I'm going to clean your windows. You wouldn't do it.
No.
You wouldn't go out and decide you're going to go and visit every house in the town because you don't know them all. And you only go to the people you know. And if you think of it in that respect, then if you don't need to do it, you wouldn't do it. Now, if there was a major meteorite coming that's going to hit the town, yes, you could stand at your gate and scream that everybody needs to leave town for their own sake, or there was a virus coming, or you were just worried about people. That is a complete. So I tend to say, just think of it as real. If it's real life, would you do that in real life? Would you go to all these meetings and just turn up because you've got nothing better to do? Would you go out in your pajamas, looking really slobby that day, to do a live stream to some chief executives up the road and expect them to take any notice? Would you? So for me, it's always the question. And I always say to people, what is the outcome of whatever you do? And bear in mind, I'm not overly strategic. I'm not a business planning type of person. Goals and this and that. I remember from my days in charity form filling of, outcomes and this and that. It's like, oh, but you do have to know what it is you want to achieve from that particular thing. So for me, my Friday live coaching is to give some information that will help people understand how to be online, how to do a video, how to do this, how to do that. I'm not online to teach people the ins and outs. That's what the people who pay me for get. But it's a start for people. So today is, please understand live streaming. Please understand you don't have to do it just because you can. It's like, you might think you've got a book in you, but do you really? Today people read it. So ask that question. So I'm going to summarize some of that at the moment because it might have got a bit confusing. So one, ask the question. Just because you can live stream, should you? Then look at all the offerings you have today. Think about, okay, what can I give people online? Make a list of, for the day. I could do breathing exercises. For me, it could be, I could do something around how to use Zoom, how to do this. Yeah, and I would make a list. And then I would go, okay, what of this is video? Which of this is a possible live stream into a group possibly? Or could I set up a challenge and live streaming? So if I set up a live streaming challenge, well, yeah, I better turn up and live stream. Otherwise it's like, So think about that. And then ask yourself, actually, could I do this as a video and promote it better than doing a live stream? And funnily enough, I found, and if anybody has found this easier than I do, I find it harder to promote a live stream video that I downloaded than I would had I done, actually gone onto my videos or onto Zoom and videoed myself. So those are questions you have to ask yourself. And the other thing is if you want to look quite professional with your videos, you want to top and tail them. You want to have a logo on there. You want people to understand and know your brand. So, and that for me is really important. Now, in the States, they've started live streaming on LinkedIn. And we haven't got it over here yet, so I haven't really had a chance to see how that works, whether it's any better than Facebook. The other thing is, Facebook is not the only place you can live stream to. So you may be better off live streaming to YouTube. And you can live stream to YouTube just as easily. Certainly on Zoom, on here, you can live stream to YouTube. So then you have to ask yourself, now, YouTube platforms work at their best when it shows you how to do something. If we want to learn how to do something, we tend to go to YouTube. Hubby this morning, classic example, he wanted his cigarette lighter in the car wasn't working, he wasn't sure yet. He goes straight to YouTube, how do I? And the video comes up and he does it, great, job done. So if it's something about how to, so for you, Anne, you might decide, I'm going to have a YouTube channel and I will do breathing exercises or meditation exercises that will fit YouTube really well. And if you've created a gathering or an audience on YouTube, you would let them know. And the great thing about YouTube is you can schedule when that live stream is going to go out. So then it would be like having your studio sort of workshop thing. So you'd have people there, especially today where they can't be in the same room as you. That is an ideal place to take that workshop online. People are taking it on to Facebook. I don't know. I haven't seen the stats. And again, it depends on your audience. But they forget YouTube. They forget that that's where people go. If people want to keep fit, they go onto YouTube and find their best keep fit thing. If they want to bake bread, or maybe they go to YouTube. If I want to know how to, I don't know, take my watch apart, I'll go to YouTube. So think about where people go to find out information. The other thing, people are all on Instagram at the moment and have forgotten Pinterest. I go to Pinterest a lot more often than I would ever go to Instagram. So if I'm thinking, yeah, I fancy changing it, Pinterest, yeah. Small office, what would it look like? And I get all my ideas. So you have to look at all those platforms and go, where does this fit best? Do I live stream? And if you live stream to YouTube, you can use that YouTube video to go onto LinkedIn. LinkedIn doesn't mind those third-party links. Facebook does. You've got to upload it or do the live stream. So bear in mind how much further it could go where you're live streaming it. And the only live streams that are really, really effective is, and people don't realize this, there's lots of platforms out there that you can sign up to and you can live stream to LinkedIn, to YouTube, to Facebook. You can also live stream to TikTok. TikTok's becoming a big thing, and that's like mini Instagram video stories. TikTok's becoming big. Some of the gaming platforms now, some businesses are using big gaming platforms to live stream because the gamers have been using live streaming for years. this is where it came from originally. It was so that they could all sit together in real time and play video games. That's where it came from. And that's when it worked beautifully. And that's because they can talk to each other.
Yeah.
So for me, if I want to do a live stream workshop, why would I do it on Facebook? Why would I do something like this on Facebook? Because I can't actually talk to them. And they can't, well, I can talk to them, they can't talk to me.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I go, come and join me on a Zoom call in real time, and let's talk about what you're doing, just like this.
Yeah.
So again, is it appropriate? What am I shouting from my front door to my town? And, you know, do I need a megaphone because actually there's danger coming, or I need them to know this today? Or are they all just going to throw eggs at me because they don't care, they're too busy doing whatever it is they're doing?
It's a really good analogy, Bev, about, as you say, just literally opening your front door, because that's what you're doing, really.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you're doing with your lives. Well, any time you go online, what you're basically doing is opening your door and inviting people in.
Yeah.
And you have to be careful about who you invite in.
Exactly. I mean, the other thing I was going to ask, like, I don't know a great deal about it, but does WhatsApp have any of this functionality?
They have video calls, and they're great on a one-to-one because if I've been abroad, if I've been speaking abroad and I can't get a signal, everybody's on WhatsApp, and you'll find some of the poorer countries, WhatsApp works great because you don't pay for the to and fro, even if you know, all of that stuff, smartphones. I love WhatsApp for instant because people are on their phone, and I love it. And I have tried using WhatsApp for connecting groups together, but it doesn't work as well for that. Okay. So again, I think it depends on what you're doing and what you want to achieve. I haven't managed to create a group video link with people on WhatsApp. So if it can be done, I haven't found it. Right. And most of that is probably because I don't really see WhatsApp as a group coaching or a group meeting thing for me. I have groups in there that I will text to. So I have a group like my speakers that I'm using for the summit. I have a group so I can text them easily because they've got their phones on them all the time. So that's it. So it maybe if you're doing a challenge, you might say, okay, I'm going to come in, but I'm going to check up on you during the day to see, you know, just to give you some accountability. Join the WhatsApp, just, you know, because then you've got their mobile numbers so that you can text them or send a message to them again, how are you doing? Have you managed to fit it in? You know, and sort of G them along. So it works really well for that. So again, it's what do I want it to achieve? Yeah. And how do they fit together? Now, I, as you all know, have this awful shiny object syndrome thing. And there is nothing worse than me going, oh, I've got all day here. And this afternoon, I'm like, oh, that's a useful program. Oh, I could do that. How much? And I actually literally step back and go, stop. Again. You know, just because it looks great doesn't mean it. And so then what I did was I said, okay, then stop. What do you want this to do? Because much as I love my Smart Speakers network, there are only about 5 or 6 of you that really engage. So I stopped and thought, okay, what would work better? Maybe I need a separate website for the Message Maestro for the coaching stuff as opposed to being a teacher. If I did that, then I could have a membership site. Okay, that's okay, but I love Zoom and but I like webinars as well. Then I found this webinar platform. It was like, oh my God, this does it all. You know, but actually, no, when I wanted to do it all, it's hugely expensive. So then I had to step back again and go, actually, Zoom does everything. And I could upgrade for a month and do webinars because you can monetize those on Zoom. If I could cut down my email platform price, so then I spent all day looking for the right one that is free and brilliant, does everything I want it to do. So I've saved money on that bit going. So then those months I could, and then if it doesn't work, I can downgrade again. So I had to stop and really strategize what I wanted and how it was going to fit together. And that's the same with live streaming. Where does it fit in your funnel, if you like, in that sort of plan of how you're engaging with people and how your visibility is? And is it doing you any favors? And is it doing your clients any good? Actually, you know, if you're someone and your job is, you know, your business is about taking people out of their business, out of their heads sometimes, yeah, maybe you should be on the beach live streaming for us all to go, oh, that's lovely. But if not, no, to be fair, no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it's about making that list. And I think for you, Anne, at the moment, because your website's being sorted and your computer's being sorted, maybe your challenge at the moment is to go, right, I'm going to make a list of all the offerings that I have, that I you know, regardless of what's going on in the world, this is going to be, you know, the offerings I do. Am I going to do them as a group challenge? Am I going to do them as a course? Am I going to do this? And then the next question, so like a grid, then the next question is live stream, video, whatever. And I have these, and I just tick down and go, no, not really live stream. Yeah, I can do a video on that. Or I can turn that into a course. Is it a free or a paid course? So then I've got this sort of 1A4 sheet of paper and I can look at it and go, right, those courses, they're simple. I know the stuff, 5 minutes. I offer those for free. They're my sort of lost, you know, the lost leaders and list generating stuff. These ones, actually, that's a bit more in depth. That's going to take a bit more. So they're my paid courses. Where am I going to put them? If I'm going to create a group. Now, one of the issues for me, it's a challenge for me, and I've realized this recently, is I connect well with people. I engage well with people. I know I do that. However, I'm not as great as maintaining large group connections like some people are. And that, I think that's because what I do is what people need at that moment in time. So it's not like Jill and networking where it's all very much about support and everything else. So, and I, you're gonna laugh at this. Last week during a wobble, I had to stop and say, Beth, it's not personal that all these people don't hang on your every word.
No,
and
no.
you're not the only one who doesn't create these. You know, and then I said, well, actually, in real life, I don't have, you know, I don't lunch with large groups of women. I don't, you know, I have some very close, very supportive that I see maybe once a year, twice a year, whatever it may be. So online, and then I took that analogy. So if online is like my town, oh, that's all right. That's how it works. So for me, having tried to do that the last, I am now going, actually, maybe I'm better off keeping it all in one site. Those people who have worked with me are there. They get all that free stuff and what have you. They'll grab it when they want it and things. And those people that are just there because they had the freebie at that point, I don't need to worry about. They'll come back when they need me. So that's one of those questions to ask yourself at the moment. Where should it go? How am I going to deliver it? And then, you know, how am I going to promote it? So then you have a lovely plan. You don't have to worry about, oh, I should be live stream. Oh my God, I should do a video. Oh my God, I should do this. Oh my God, I should do that. The other thing to consider is my Friday live stuff. I don't do presentations unless it really calls for it. This is about talking to people, talking to you, giving you that coaching. That works. Webinars, it's more about presentations. So that's what they're set up for. And my online courses, so my VIP day is set up on my course platform, but actually that's all done face to face. I don't have to create content for it because that's very bespoke and coached together. Same with those of you that are on the sort of the 6 month and on bit that we're doing, because it's very bespoke to what you want to do and where you want to go. So again, it's about that. How do I deliver it and where am I putting it and how am I getting people there? So live streaming isn't the simple answer to everything.
No.
There are more questions you should ask yourself about live streaming than there are about doing anything else. And one of them is will I be safe from some of the idiots that come online? And the more controversial your subject may be, I've noticed the more trolls and the more arguments you get and the more insults you get, because it's not just that live stream, it's when other people watch it and then make all those horrible comments. And I've seen people, I belong to a fibromyalgia group and somebody live streamed, and honestly, the trash she got from some people after that about, well, that's just made up and it's not real, and some people just love to create a rise. So it's, don't think about that instant that you're live streaming, also consider the reactions later on down the line and who is going to be. That's why I say business page and groups is better, because they're in there because they specifically want to do. you can secure the groups better than you can a business page.
Yeah.
Because I've had people ask to join my business page, you know, people can't just join. And I've looked at it and thought, oh, okay, now that sort of makes sense because it's speaking. So I might have had somebody who said, I'm a surgeon and I've got to do this. And then I go, yes. And the next thing you know, you're getting all this, oh, you look lovely. And you realize, oh. So, but groups, I think, are easier to manage because you can ask those questions. So if you're going to do live streaming, think about where it fits in your brand and how it's going to work. And if you're not very confident online speaking, practice Zoom or something. Just do it. Don't have a script, just do it and look at yourself and go, oh right, that's what I look like, that's what my background looks like, you know, I'm happy with that. Or, oh god, I didn't realize that when that was happening I had a picture of my naked husband in the background because I've forgotten to take it down, or the two cats are humping on the windowsill, or whatever it may be. Often we forget what's going on behind. I'm lucky, I've got a brick wall behind me, but if you're sort of got a room that people are coming through, just bear in mind that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing to bear in mind when you're live streaming is the phone will go. Someone, but if I ever do it, the phone goes. I have to remember when our fire alarm is tested in our unit, because you know suddenly the fire alarm goes off. It's like, oh my god! So all those things have to be considered. It's not just a let me leap on live streaming. It isn't.
It's really, really, as you say, it's a lot to think about. I mean, for me, I want to keep everything as simple as possible.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that. I have to really keep myself. I have to keep myself in check to keep it simple. I really do. And that's the worst thing when you're not afraid of technology and you're quite happy to play with technology. You'll play with anything. But yeah, simplicity for me. And I think people at the moment are going to want more simplicity. They don't want more complication. They don't want more online than they have to look at. They want to know that if they're going to you, they're going to get the answer, or they're going to get the information they need. It's not going to go on forever. It's not going to walk on about things that they're not interested in. All of that. And again, for those people listening to this, consider who's with you on that live stream, where that live stream's going. Is it safe? Is it safe? If you're using Zoom and you have a Zoom personal room, don't use that personal room all the time, because that's how people are Zoom bombing, which is obviously going to be in the dictionary next year. But that works the same for anything else. Remember, there are other platforms. There is YouTube. If you're doing a how-to video, use YouTube. Things like TikTok that are really coming up and almost on a par with Instagram at the moment. So bear in that. If your audience are kids, teenagers, they're on TikTok. They're not even on Instagram. They're always one platform ahead of us. So they don't go on Facebook anymore. My daughter, who actually does digital marketing and stuff, don't go near Facebook. She doesn't use it. No.
That's interesting.
Yeah, 30 years under, do not use Facebook. My grandson, 16, I look at it, goes, Facebook, why would I be on bloody Facebook? He won't. He's on TikTok. He's not even on, he's a boy, so he's not really on Instagram. I think Instagram works really well if you're gorgeous looking and you're wearing some sort of fashionable outfit. It's very much an influencer platform. So if you're in fashion or art or something very visual, I think Instagram is perfect. I'm not so sure it's perfect for service industry like us, because it's very difficult to find the right image. So I don't take a lot of notice of Instagram. I don't put those video story things on Instagram. I'll share stuff that I've done on Facebook over to Instagram. I get more connections on Pinterest, because I will turn tips and things into images and upload them to Pinterest, and they can look in the different boards. So I'll have one on speaking tips. I'll have one on I don't know how to portray yourself on stage, you know, things like that. So all of that stuff happens. So you just have to consider where it is all going. And if you're live streaming, luckily nobody else can download it, only the person who's created it at the moment. But trust me, people will find a way to do it, because some time ago, you could download anything from YouTube. You can't do that anymore. You can share, you can't download. However, if you search hard enough, you will find a platform that tells you to put the YouTube thing in and you can download it. So they're going to be soon, they're going to find a way to do that with Facebook and live streaming. So consider not today, consider what may happen tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, because once it's there, it's there. And what you don't want is people taking that from you and then putting it out as their own, because they've been able to edit it somewhere and put their own logo on it. I know I come across as the voice of doom of the world, but these things happen.
Yeah.
And, you know, you don't have the money to fight this if somebody does that. So you have to protect your content, really protect your content. So bear that in mind. Okay, so make a plan. So Anne, for you, this is probably the best time for you to just sit with a piece of paper and go, what am I going to offer and how am I going to do it and where's it going to go and what's the simplest way?
Yeah.
And how can I save myself time? And you're right, live streaming, from my opinion, is not where you need to go. But
No.
videos, upload those to your you know, your page and your groups, and yes, get yourself a business page, because Facebook do not like you promoting business on your personal page.
Yeah.
I have a secret group for all my family and friends, so we share all sorts of weird stuff there where we can share pictures of the kids and things. And actually my personal Facebook page now alludes to my business. So sometimes I'll put things up there that allude to my business. And then the business stuff goes. So I've even managed to work out how I can use Facebook for me rather than the way Facebook wants, you know. And actually having that secret group for family and friends has worked brilliantly.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
You can go, oh, here's a picture of the newborn baby that they don't want on Facebook, because it's tied down, and we all know that. And we can send silly jokes to each other. We're not trolling each other. We're not setting up, you know. That happens on Facebook sometimes, and I've sometimes put on Facebook like, oh, you know, having a bad day, legs hurting, whatever. And sometimes you'll get the most inappropriate response from somebody that you think, so, you know, and I spend a lot of my time deleting and getting rid of.
Yeah, I think at the moment, Bev, I mean, I belong to some local group Facebook pages, like in my village. And at the moment, the problem is because people are so anxious and sensitive that they're responding in a way that they wouldn't usually.
No, in fear. They respond in fear, yes. And it could be from that angle, the local stuff is you could be the voice of reason. So you could be putting small videos up there or postings for people to think about that, because you are part of that community. So that in that case, you're going out of your front door and you're helping to soothe the nerves of the village you live in. So I'd say you're not shouting at them, you're just offering them something to do. And I belong to quite a few groups within Blandford, business groups, and I find them that they're calmer, those groups, and I can go in them and post around, you know, how's business, do you need to get online, how can I help, and things like that. So again, it all comes back down to who you're talking to, the audience, and what do they need. And if they're a business need, that's different to actually if you have, and I know my village has a village page. Parish council tend to take over the parish page. And we have a very male, white dominated parish council. Equally, now I'm thinking maybe I should go on there and just offer some, you know, it'll be okay. And, you know, if you can't get out for whatever reason, you know, let me know. I can go and get some food for you. So, you know, again, just think who you're talking to, what hat have you got on when you're talking to them, what do they need from you, and how are you going to give it to them? And you should always consider that when you do anything online. Otherwise, it just online becomes a horrendous place to be. It's like the seventh circle of hell. And as a business, we have to cope with that. And actually, today, with the mental health issue that we're going to be having with everybody indoors and relying on social media, that can be exacerbated so much by these idiots. Just want to, you know, make people's lives a misery because they've got whatever sad life they've got, and they exist.
And they've got time in their hands at the moment as well.
Haven't they? Haven't they? And they obviously get something from it for doing that. They obviously get some sort of rise out of it themselves. So they have upset people.
Yeah,
And but that aside is people are going to be getting upset and they are going to be reacting to those things in a different way than they would have if they'd have been able to go out and have a chat with the lady over the fence and be told, don't take no notice.
mm.
You know, they're going to be in there with that all going around their heads. So if your audience and your ideal client are people that, like you, Anne, are going through change or stress or something like that, then the way we work with them is going to be completely different to people who come to me and go, I've got to get online, I've got to do this. And I'm like, well, don't do that and don't do this. So I could be a little bit harsher with them.
Yeah,
So know who you're talking to, know where you want to talk to them, understand what they need, and look at the long-term plan about anything you do online, but especially about live streaming.
yeah.
So Anne, has that helped?
Yeah, it's been fantastic,
Good,
really helpful.
good.
I had sort of, doubts to start with about live streaming because of me and where I'm at,
Yeah,
really. So for me, doing videos would be a big step forward because I
absolutely.
haven't done that yet.
Yeah,
But yeah, there's all sorts of things to consider, and I don't think it's not a priority for me. I might do it at some point later when it's appropriate, but certainly not
absolutely.
at the moment.
Absolutely. You might find that if your village group are getting a bit, maybe that is a time to go in on the live stream and chat to them and put
Yeah,
their minds at ease. And that,
yeah,
that for me would make absolute sense.
yes,
Absolute sense.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm glad about that. I am going to get this one transcribed as well for a blog because I think there are things people haven't talked about, like the legal stuff around where you're filming, who you're filming, and stuff like
definitely.
that. So yeah, I'll transcribe this one. So if you're happy for me to put this out, this one,
Yeah, absolutely. And also, it's really, as you said before, it's really important about how people present themselves
yeah, yeah,
on social media
yeah.
and the appearance and making sure there's nothing going on in the background.
Absolutely, absolutely, because now's the time to build those engagements and that trust and those relationships. And when it's all over, people will remember because you're getting value for money. So if you're giving during this period, then they will give back. And I firmly believe the more you give, the more you get back.
I,
So if you're not trying to rip everybody else and actually try to give something to everybody at the moment, but give it in that way that maintains your brand and maintains your integrity. So, for me, I'll give as much as I can, except for the deep dive stuff that people pay for because that's it. Um, then people will remember that later on. I've got a guy stuck in Poland, bless him, went to visit friends, and then of course all the borders shut, and he wants to get online and he wants to speak, and he can't afford it. And I said to him, well, all right, we'll do the training now. You can pay me later. Let's do it
yeah,
that way. And he's over the moon. Now, whether he'll pay me or not, I don't know, but I'm not going to sit here worrying about it.
no,
Because as far as I'm concerned, I think he will. I think he'll
yeah,
spread the word.
yeah. I think you get a feel for people, don't you?
Absolutely. Where am I going? Anyway, so what harm is it at this moment in time? So I think but those are questions we have to ask ourselves personally in the way our values are and how we want to work. And I'd never say to anybody else, that's how you should be doing things because, everybody does things in their way and that's perfectly all right. I think the trick is to just listen to yourself and decide how you want to work and how you want to be portrayed and what your values and integrity are within your business. And I think that's your question to ask yourself and take it from there. So please don't think I'm telling everybody to give everything away. I'm not. Just what I do. A bit like today. All right then, Anne. So you have a lovely weekend.
Will and
And
you.
I've got I actually got some domestic things to do because what I'm trying to do is not sit in front of the computer all the time and go, right, weekends I don't work. So I'm thinking I've got some domestic things to do. Yeah, I think I might have to move my bedroom around and oh yeah, I better go through my wardrobe again. And Steve's laughing his head off. That's my husband. If anybody else, I'll be number 3. I think he'll stay. He did my hair. That's
I'd like to. I was going to say I'd like to congratulate Steve
I
on
know.
what he.
Yeah, I know. That was a scary moment.
I think
Did
it
really
looks
well.
fantastic.
And I actually quite like it. It's lighter now and it's tidier. And look, I don't have white roots, and so
I think it looks great. I think he's done a great job.
So there you go. Jump in and do something you never thought you'd do. Moment. And obviously go, well, if I can't be a coach driver, maybe I can take a hairdressing.
Yes, there you go.
So he spent a week cleaning the cooker and everything else, and it's shining. And I'm going, I promise never to use the cooker. And he's looking at it going, what are you going to do domestically this weekend?
I love it.
I might make a cake.
Cake's good for the soul.
Oh, that's what I done. And I said, I'll bake cakes and cookies, because there you go. And he's going, not on my cooker, you're not. So I want you to record that, not on his cooker. I'm going to remember.
Yes, yes. Wow.
Anyway, joy talking to you as always, Anne. I'll touch, I'm sure, next week. Do that plan. If you're looking at it again, I'm not sure whether that should be a course or a video. Bear in mind that the courses, you know, if you build them up, think about long term as well as short term. Just shout, you know where I am. All right.
I do.
So
Thank you, Bev.
have a lovely weekend.
Will and you. See you soon.
See you soon, darling. Bye. I tap back. When this is over, you and I are going out for coffee. We'll meet halfway.
Definitely. That'd be lovely. Thanks, Bev. Take
Bye.
care.